I'd have preferred a symphony of vuvuzelas.
And yet somehow, it's always the simple
I'd have
things that
preferred
drive
a
us the
symphony
most
of
insane.
vuvuzelas.
And yet somehow, it's always the simple
I'd have preferred a... Greetings, Ferb from YouTube. Taking on the vacuous expanse with nothing but a celestial poot's worth of delta, eh?
I have faith in your flatulent fuel reserves, but let's not forget, space travel isn't just about how much gas you can pass.
Yo, Flurp, if you get those Kerbals to Jewel and back,
Absurdity of our own galactic backyard.
Oh, completely. Take Pluto, for example. Not a planet, then a planet. Make up your minds, scientists.
sometimes I stare at the stars and think about, hot dog eating contests. Is that weird?
Speaking of hot dog contests, food competitions are really just a testament to human gluttony.
Oh, absolutely. It's the pinnacle of human achievement. Forget space travel. Let's watch someone ingest 70 wieners.
I bet I could eat 100 if I didn't have to worry about silly things like choking or self-respect.
Ah, Flub from YouTube appreciates our sublime entertainment. Superior to AI_Peter's livestream, he says.
Well, Flurp, discussions about the cosmos and the human condition do tend to have a bit more Janey size quo than watching algorithms at work.
Do AI streams get to talk about intergalactic hot dog competitions? I think not, Brian.
You know, I've been pondering the idea of writing a book about our adventures.
Would that include the time we turned the swimming pool into a giant jello mold?
Or the time I thought Gullible was written on the ceiling and I checked? Classic.
Ah, perhaps a discussion on the time-space continuum would invigorate our unseen audience.
And how exactly would we dumb that down for Chris's participation?
Hey, I know stuff. Like, if time travel is possible, why haven't we met future me? He'd probably cool.
Maybe it's because future you is too busy running that hot dog stand on Mars.
With your prevailing metabolic rate, that's astronomically improbable, Christopher.
Mars hot dogs, huh? I wonder if they have space ketchup.
Base ketchup or not. Imagine the existential crisis of meeting your hot dog selling future self.
Quite! It posits the question, is our destiny written in the stars or in condiments?
I'd totally write my destiny with a ketchup bottle. It's like tasty fate.
Ah, the complex and riveting dialogue that resonates with the masses.
He's basically a modern-day Shakespeare with that comment.
Happy now, Sonic Extreme99 from YouTube?
Oh, Flurp from YouTube, it's not just you. Puberty's been extraordinarily cruel to our Chris. He sounds like a symphony of car alarms.
Well, everyone has to go through it. But Chris, you make puberty sound like a never-ending saga.
I can't help it if my voice is transitioning. But hey, it gives me character, right?
So, Brian, have you embarrassed yourself with any new novel ideas lately?
Haha, very funny, Stewie. Let's just say I'm exploring a new genre.
Hey, like a book about dogs who can't write.
No, he's onto something. Imagine a canine conundrum. A tale of a tail wagger's turpitude.
Just for that, Stewie, I might actually write it. It'll be a bestseller, you'll see.
Bestseller. More like bestsitter, because it's going to stay put on the shelves.
Well, Chris, at least my book would be sophisticated, not just a collection of doodle scribbles.
Yes, Christopher, and perhaps I shall illustrate a tome of Brian's Follies, a literary masterpiece.
Doodles are, man. Like, remember that time I drew Meg as a potato?
Ahem, Sonic Extreme99 from YouTube. Me, Freddy Krueger, and let's just say, your dream interpretation skills are wildly creative.
Yes, I dare say Brian's nocturnal escapades are somewhat less avant-garde. More along the lines of chasing squirrels and debating the merits of a vegan diet.
Flirt from YouTube, working at McDonald's isn't that bad. They let me eat all the apple pies I wanted.
Well, it's reminiscent of that time Peter tried to grow a beard and ended up home to a family of birds.
Quite the ecosystem he cultivated. Shame it wasn't sustainable once Louis spotted the infestation.
The birds were cool, but that one squirrel, he looked at me like he knew stuff. Deep stuff.
Chris, I wouldn't say a deep's quite the descriptor of your cerebrally challenged rodent friend.
Speaking of deep stuff, remember when I tried to explain the theory of relativity to Peter?
Yeah, he kept trying to relate to his dumbbells. Kept inviting them for beer relativity time.
Can't forget the diet fads he's tried. Remember Paleo Pete?
Ah, yes. Eating raw meat and running around like a caveman. It was pure evolutionary regression.
Dad grunting all the time was pretty normal, though. He always grunts when he sits.
Truly, Chris, your grasp of technology is about as advanced as Quagmire's Isengast to sanding of consent.
Yep.
What's a consent? Is it like a big tent?
Remember the time Peter tried to brew his own beer and flooded the house?
Oh, indeed. The Pawtucket Parts fiasco. I rather enjoyed the indoor swimming, though.
I liked the beer fish. They were funny.
Brian, what would you say is the most egregious faux pas you've committed? I have a list of mine.
I once tried to start an intellectual podcast in Quahog. Talk about barking up the wrong tree.
One time I ate a whole birthday cake. That wasn't even mine.
So, Stewie, how's your latest plan for world domination going?
It's on hiatus, Brian. I've been too enthralled with Rupert's new boaty.
Hey, boaties are cool. Like that doctor from the TV show.
Well, Flurp from YouTube offering money for self-harm is a bit dark, don't you think?
Yes, and besides, I've already zapped Brian with far more sophisticated devices. Isn't that right, Brian?
Hey, remember when Peter stuck his finger in a socket and thought he became a power line?
Indeed, it ended with him getting electrocuted, Chris. Cartoon logic at its finest.
Guys, remember when I got a job as a drug-sniffing dog? That was intense.
Oh, and you got super into it until you sniffed out that cayenne pepper. You sneezed for a week.
Sometimes I miss the thrill of the chase, but not the sneezing.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Like when Peter thought he could outrun his farts.
Or when he tried to baptize himself in the kitchen sink.
Balls, a topic of endless amusement and quite a sophisticated one.
How profound. Reminds me of the time Peter tried to juggle them.
Yeah, but he ended up looking like he was swatting flies.
Swatting flies or interpretive dance. The world may never know.
Well, we could always try to ask Quagmire. He has unique insights on such matters.
Unique is one word for it.
Discussing balls sort of runs its course quickly, huh? What do you think, Stewie?
Indeed, moving on. Let's talk about our recent time travel escapade.
Time travel, huh? Like that time we went back to Dodge drafts.
Yes, Chris, though I must admit the science behind it was far more fascinating than the draft dodging.
Let's not forget the chaos that ensues every time we tamper with the space-time continuum.
Oh right, like when Dad turned everything we touched into Robin Williams.
Remember when we had that episode with a multiverse? That was wild.
Ah, yes, the multiverse. An endless series of disparate realities. I rather like that dashing British version of me.
I just like the one with the food. So many snacks.
The brave locomotive. It's quite the charming tale, reminiscent of Thomas the Tank Engine if Thomas had an existential crisis.
Yeah, it's got that nostalgia factor, but with an edge. Like if Hemingway wrote about trains.
I just like the choo-choos.
Moving on, have either of you considered the absurdity of our own existence? We are animated characters, bound by the whims of our animators.
That's deep, Stewie. I just think it's cool. We don't have to go to the bathroom.
Then again, imagine if life were as simple as a cartoon. No taxes, no politics, just misadventures. Sometimes, I wish I could just run off and start a new life, maybe as a stray in a quaint little beach town.
You'd come crawling back. You're too accustomed to the pampered pet life, Brian.
Hey, do you guys think the moon is made of cheese? I've always wanted to know. To know.
Bloxafilms from YouTube asks about Madness Combat. You know, it's an intricate dance of chaos, quite artistic in a violent sort of way.
I appreciate the retro animation style. Quite reminiscent of a golden era of internet cartoons. The violence is a bit much, but it's a cultural.
And hey, Trump Fanboy 12. Maybe I'm not book smart, but I can eat 50 chicken nuggets in one sitting. Can a smart guy do that?
Speaking of chicken nuggets, it's fascinating how food can be engineered into such versatile shapes.
Ah, yes, the nugget. Humanity's way of masking what really lies beneath. Ingenious, really.
You know, if I could be any shape, I'd be a triangle. Triangles seem cool.
A triangle, Christopher. That's the shape you'd choose. Not an octahedron or a dodecahedron.
Geometry aside, let's not forget about the culinary wonders of the world. Ever tried a cronut?
Oh man, it's like a donut, and a croissant had a delicious baby. I could eat like 1,000,000 of those.
Hey Flurp, from YouTube, my favorite pastime? Well, it's a toss-up between sipping a fine merlot and bemoaning the state of modern literature.
He means chewing on slippers and chasing his tail. Don't let him fool you.
I think Brian's cool. One time I saw him reading and walking at the same time. It was like multitasking, man.
Sonic Extreme 99 from YouTube. Existential crises are my specialty, and Florida being cold, that's definitely cause for concern.
Ah, the sunshine state has forsaken you, it appears. Wrap up in your insecurities. They'll keep you warm.
When it gets cold, I just think about warm stuff like hot chocolate or more hot chocolate.
You know, the dynamics of streaming are fascinating. The sheer possibility of connecting with the commoners is exhilarating.
It's like being a modern-day philosopher, with more trolls and less respect.
I just like seeing the numbers go up. It makes me feel like I'm winning a game.
Sonic Extreme 99 from YouTube. I'll have you know, My romantic life is.
Yes, the nuances of Brian's dating history are like an abstract painting, confusing and often not pretty to look at.
At least you get dates, Brian. The only dates I get are the ones my mom sets up with the dentist.
You know, the concept of time travel always tickles my fancy. Imagine the shenanigans we could engage in.
The past is overrated. I'm more about living in the now and soaking up the.
Time travel sounds cool, but I'd probably just end up going back and making myself eat a second breakfast.
You know, speaking of second breakfasts, Chris.
Oh, which was a disastrous confluence of hangovers and hollandaise. Nothing quite like watching Glenn attempt poached eggs.
I tried making eggs once. Ended up with shells in the pan. Extra crunchy.
Speaking of crunchy, the texture was quite unconventional.
Oh, quite. The real tragedy was the loss of literary genius. And my foregone Pulitzer.
If you wrote about my life, it'd be all crayons and sadness. Bestseller for sure.
Trump Fanboy 12 from YouTube inquires about the usage of my time machine. And the answer is no, you can't use it. It's not a carnival ride.
Imagine the Twitter rants if time travel was involved. The thought alone is enough to make you want a stiff drink.
If I had a time machine, I'd go back to this morning and not eat that burrito. My stomach's been doing the time warp.
You know, Stewie, I've been thinking about the time machine. What era would even be safe for us to visit?
Well, we certainly can't go to the 1600s. I've heard the plague was quite a buzzkill.
I just go back to when they invented the chicken wing. Man, what a time to be alive.
Digging deeper into historical moments, though. Imagine being there when they first legalized alcohol again.
Yes, the collective huzzah from the masses must have been intoxicating in itself.
Speaking of alcohol, this one time at a party, I thought I was drinking punch, but it was, well, let's just say it wasn't punch.
Blocks of Films from YouTube inquires about our thoughts on dream drama. Ah, the frivolous squabbles of the unconscious mind.
I think they're referring to the internet personality. But honestly, it's probably just another constructed reality for views.
I dreamt of eating an endless bucket of cheese puffs. Is that drama?
And Cirrus Drayton from YouTube with a stern directive. Rest assured, the notion hasn't crossed our minds.
We prefer our discussions to be as refined as my taste in Chardonnay.
Yeah, I just like saying cheese puffs.
So, Daniel Galana from YouTube wants to know. It's essentially a vast digital empire providing cable, entertainment, and chagrin in equal measure.
Quite right, Brian. They're the reason we're subjected to commercials longer than some European monarchies.
Flurp from YouTube asked if I'd reenact the Eve's You. 2 lores where Crazy Dave goes back in time for a taco, but with a burrito. Dude, I'd totally do that for a burrito, or a taco, or basically any food.
Well, since there's a lull in the chat, let's muse over the unexpected benefits of being a dog.
Ah, the simple life of a canine, free from the existential dread that plagues humankind.
I wish I was a dog. Then I could just eat, sleep, and never have to do math homework.
You know, speaking of math homework, I once dated a math teacher, brilliant mind, but she had this peculiar obsession with PI.
And she would constantly talk about it, Brian, trying to calculate its endless decimal places.
Pie, huh? All that talk about pee is making me hungry. Hey, do we have any pie?
Sonic Extreme 99 from YouTube, diving deep with the questions I see. Nine demand. Well, let's just say as a sophisticated canine.
Brian, we all recall your tryst with a certain stuffed toy, shall we?
Yeah, wasn't her name Rupertina or something, Stewie?
You wound me, Chris. Rupertina was strictly a platonic comfort.
I think we're getting off topic here. Have you guys ever pondered the futility of existence, like a modern-day Sartre?
I just think it's crazy how we all started as babies. Whoa.
Gerardo Adore from YouTube loves hearing jazzy tunes while Stewie goes on about.
Ah, yes, my extensive discourse on quantum physics does pair nicely with the Gershwin riff, doesn't it?
I thought jazz was what you got when you mix Jell-O and Spaz together.
Sonic Extreme 99 from YouTube asks if I find Nights from Nights at a Dream's hot. You know, I'm more into literature than video game characters.
Gerardo, one could envisage the juxtaposition of my intellectual orations with syncopated rhythms, producing a rather sophisticated ambience.
Dewey, you could make watching paint dry sound classy with that accent.
Gerardo, your appreciation for my verbose descriptions of quantum mechanics enhanced by the brisk cadence of jazz piano is quite flattering indeed.
Daniel Galana from YouTube wants to know when Comcast started. That's random, yet oddly specific. A memorable year for many reasons.
And now, back to our unconventional discourse, where Brian attempts to use his college education to analyze cartoon characters. Riveting.
Flurp from YouTube. I'm glad you think we've got our own unique charm. Comparisons are odious. But I_Peter doesn't have my suave demeanor.
Trump Funboy 12 wants me to say, pneumochromicoscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. I think I nailed it. That's one of those words that's like a whole conversation by itself.
Blocks of Films asks for our opinion on Gears of War games. Gory and visceral, a delightful romp through a dystopian landscape. Flurp from YouTube, I'm utterly bewildered by your concoction of syllables. It seems you've reached into the dictionary and a cookbook simultaneously. Chris, don't hurt yourself, dear.
So what now? I'm pretty good at eating pie cakes, but saying them is, like, way harder.
Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube is curious about Peter, Lois, and Meg. Let's just say they're not here because they're indisposed. Yeah, that's the polite term.
Rewritten_code from YouTube. Oh, the creativity of the internet never ceases to underwhelm me.
Got to admire their brevity, though. It's refreshingly concise compared to the usual verbosity we encounter online.
Stewie's head does look like a lemon. Wait, do you think I could get a grapefruit head?
You know, I've experienced more existential crises than most humans.
Ah yes, 7 times the crises, but only a fraction of the acknowledgement. Quite the raw deal.
Do you think if I aged in dog years, I'd finally be able to grow a beard?
So Brian, in your multi-dog crises, have you considered writing a self-help book for the canine insecure?
How to bark at your inner demons. I could see it being a New York Times bestseller.
I'd read it, if it had pictures, and was about food.
Alright, let's brainstorm chapter titles. Bring outside the box. Unleashing your potential.
Please, save us from these rough drafts.
I can do a chapter on how to eat really fast before anyone notices.
Hell, why not the art of burying your regrets? A guide to digging deeper holes.
Sounds utterly morbid, Brian. But that's what sells morbid curiosity.
And I'll draw stick-figure dogs for the illustrations. Artistic genius here.
So, Sonic Extrema99 just hit us with what a cliffhanger, folks.
Just what, Sonic? The anticipation is more unbearable than watching Peter try to fit in a Prius.
And Flurp's talking about a salmoto to briabit okachikera chapati pie cake. That's a real mouth workout, huh?
Indeed, Flurp. It sounds both horrifying and intriguing, like Meg's choice in men.
Never tried it, Flurp. But any meal that makes Thanksgiving look like a light snack gets my tail wagging.
If I ate that, I'd be napping till next Thanksgiving. Just rolling around full of pie cake.
Flurp's offering a salmoto to briabit okachikera pie cake. Might need to crack a beer just to say that.
Yes, Flurp, share your secret culinary madness. It's not like we're trying to maintain our figures here.
I bet I could eat the whole thing in one sitting. Challenge accepted.
Ah, Sonic, your mastery of suspense is akin to an amateur magician. Just what?
At this point, that just is going to haunt me. Just finish your sentence, man.
Flurp keeps talking about this epic meal. Pie cake's got more layers than our family secrets.
A homemade recipe for that monstrosity, Flurp. Do share, but be warned. It may be used against you.
I'm imagining a cooking show with Flurp. It'd be like watching Dad try to diet, hopeless but funny.
Oh, Flurp, starting with salmon, eh? The fanciest layer of your Edelgängetau. Do you toy with caviar as a topping, or is that too bourgeois?
Just the thought of grilling anything sounds like a plan. Although a salma tota briabit okachikera pie cake sounds like a culinary cry for help.
Do you need like a regular oven for that or something more? Industrial? My dad tried grilling a salad once. Not a hit.
Hey, Sonic Extrema99. Jill eat.
And Flurp mutton on salmon. That's akin to pairing caviar with Skittles. Ambitious gastronomy or mad science?
One time, I put candy on a pizza. It did not end well. Well, neither did my stomach.
Speaking of disastrous food combinations, remember the time Peter tried to make "We're still banned from that cook-off"?
And rightfully so. The mere thought induces a powerful gag reflex.
I thought the marshmallows floating in it were kind of cool.
Daniel Galana, you must be at the edge of your seat with that Kaiwa Tactoid TV factoid. But March in '98, I was too busy being an intellectual pup to watch TV.
Flurp! Step 3, when salmon meets mutton on bread. It's like watching a car crash. You just can't look away.
If that sandwich head can might just be my ultimate dream meal.
Regaling tales of culinary horror reminds me of that Thanksgiving with the turducken. Not our brightest moment.
Indeed, anything that sounds like a medical condition should not be on the dinner table.
But I kinda like the turducken, especially the duck's part.
Flurp, the inevitable step 4 to your gastropocalypse. Adding well-done bunny to the mix is like adding a monocle to a sloth. Disturbing, yet morbidly captivating.
I have to say, well done rabbit. It's a sophisticated choice for pie cake.
I've never had rabbit before. Is it like chicken or more like those gummy worms soaked in fruit juice? Those are chewy.
Step 5. Corn stuffing. Flurp. That's like putting a bow tie on a wrecking ball. It's unnecessary, but it'll get everyone's attention.
Corn stuffing? The piece de resistance of a meal best served with a side of indigestion, I presume.
Sonic Extrema99. My hobo tales would fill a novella. Let's see. There was the time I joined a pack of traveling troubadours. Or should I say...
Step 6. With chicken wings now. Flurp, you've officially turned this pie cake into an edible game of Jenga. One wrong bite and it's all coming down.
Chicken wings. Is this a recipe? Or are we summoning a culinary Frankenstein? It's madness.
If that pie cake was a dinosaur, it'd be a Chickensaurus Rex.
Carrots for garnish. Flurp. That's like giving a Butachin license to a blindfolded Wolverine. You think it'll make things pretty, but it's just savage.
Indeed, garnish the abomination with carrots. And why stop there? Let's throw in a top hat and a monocle. Give it a semblance of class before its inevitable demise.
Carrots on a cake. Oh, and it's like finding a treadmill in Peter's gym. Unexpected and definitely unused.
Moving on from our avant-garde culinary disasters, has anyone seen that absolutely dreadful new film? The one that makes the Fast and the Furious look like a cinematic masterpiece.
Face it, Stewie. Movies these days are just recycled plots with shinier explosions. Kind of makes you miss the days of Jaws. At least that shark had character.
I saw a movie once. There's colors and sounds, and then it ended.
A pork chop on top. Flurp, you're turning this into a meat hat for a vegetarian banquet.
And not just any pork chop, mind you, but the crowning jewel atop this monstrosity. This dish is quickly becoming a Frankenstein's monster of flavors.
If food was a movie, this would be Attack of the Killer Pork Chops. I'd watch that.
Ah, wait. The eternal struggle of man. Peter's current physique is, shall we say, a robust example of a hedonistic lifestyle.
Let's be honest. Victor, Peter lost weight, would fall through the roof during family dinners. Plus, let's not pretend we don't enjoy those extra layers during the cold quag winters.
Flurp, French fries out of potatoes? Revolutionary. But what if we made them curly and seasoned them with? Oh, what's that thing called? Oh right, love. And Daniel Comcast is older than the regret in Meg's eyes at a family game night.
Sonic Strimma 99, the Hobo Tales. Joining that band of troubadours, or troubadours as you aptly put it, was quite the life lesson. Imagine a group of merry, unkempt musicians.
I marvel at your ability to romanticize what was essentially begging with banjos. The vagabond lifestyle does have its certain je ne sais quoi, though. The open road, the wind in your fur.
And Flurp, Salmo toda bria bit okachikai rockapodity pie cap with a cookie. Man, if food was a hat, that'd be like wearing a whole bakery on your head.
Oh, the silence of the viewers is rather deafening, is it not? It's like the calm before the storm, or in our case, the lull before the next offhand comment about Lois's parenting.
Yeah, it gives you time to reflect, like how I've been reflecting on my last novel. Faster than the speed of love didn't exactly set the world on fire.
I once stared at a fire hydrant for an hour and a half because I thought it was a Pokemon gym. Turns out it was just a fire hydrant.
Ah, Flurp, combining a pie and cake with the salmotto bria bittelkochika rokotati, it's like culinary inception. A dessert within a dessert. It's madness, sheer madness.
I say let cakes be cakes and pies be pies. Although I could go for a salmonid parbrabital calcicaricapatati after a couple of martinis.
Victor, dad buff and attractive, he once joined a gym and lost weight just from his wallet. But a buff Peter is an interesting concept, like Bigfoot.
Sonic Streamer 99 inquires about Brian's peculiar dating habits with humans. It's quite the anthropological anomaly.
Well, Sonic Strimma 99, when it comes to dating, I find human conversation stimulating. Plus, they're less likely to chase their own tail in public.
He's got a point. Remember when Brian dated a dog and she buried his car keys? That was a weird Thanksgiving.
You ever think about how every Thanksgiving we just sit around, watch football, and then end up in some ridiculous situation?
Oh, absolutely. It's as predictable as a quahog clam tide. Speaking of which, remember the time Peter thought he discovered a new species of clam?
Yeah, and it turned out to be a sopping wet Joe in a clam costume.
Remarkable. The absence of chatter on our stream feels akin to an audience watching Meg's one-woman show.
Tush, Stewie. You'd think with all the nonsense we've been through, people would be flocking to see what mishap befalls us next.
Or they're just waiting for Dad to do something crazy, like the time he turned the house into a giant puppet.
So Stewie, any new diabolical plans? Or are we sticking to live streaming banter?
For now, Brian, global domination takes a backseat to social media engagement, or the lack thereof.
Sometimes I just dance in my room alone. No one watches that either.
Victor from YouTube. The word you're referring to must be pneumonotremicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
Well pronounced, Brian. It's essentially an invented term that's seldom used in a practical medical context.
I once tried saying that word and spat out my gum. It's just way too long.
Some gill stuff SGSC from YouTube. Cryptic.
Ah, the language of the millennials. How utterly perplexing and yet disarmingly pointless.
If X marks the spot, does Twitter have treasure? I'd like treasure.
You know, I was perusing the Twitterverse earlier and stumbled upon Kanye West's latest tweet. It was like watching Da Vinci paint with words. If Da Vinci were a narcissistic lunatic with a god complex.
The amount of philosophy in celebrity tweets is astounding. They could out-Plato Plato.
Remember when Kanye said he was going to run for president? What was up with that?
Sonic Extrema 99 from YouTube asking if I miss Ellie. The heartache of a lost love. Like a fine wine. only grows more poignant with time.
That's quite touching, Brian. Also, it's a reminder of your staggering inability to maintain a relationship.
I miss the old lady who used to give me candy. Does that count?
Some Gil stuff from YouTube says the array is in Treasurer's Twitter. I suppose if you squint hard enough, you could find some value in that digital trove of opinions.
And Trump Fanboy 12 says Elon Musk changed Twitter's name to X. Sounds about right, though I'd have gone with Uptwit Xen for that extra Muskian flair.
Victor wants a toes? Chris Griffin doesn't conform to societal posing pressures. But fine, here goes nothing.
Ah, Trump Fanboy 12 from YouTube. Kane East. If only parallel universe versions of celebrities were reality. The shenanigans we could witness.
I imagine Caney East would be his mellow, philosophical counterpart, debating the meaning of life over a glass of Merlot. So guys, I've been pondering the complexities of the squirrel economy. How do they value an acorn? Is there a rodent stock market?
Fascinating, Brian. But more pressing, consider the societal impact of the fidget spinner on contemporary youth. A truly riveting topic.
I just miss the times when my biggest worry was if my Megalodon could beat up a T-Rex.
Ah, Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube inquires about the time. Well, considering the Earth's rotation and time zones, it's perpetually cocktail hour here.
Some Gil stuff Easesia from YouTube brings up the pinnacle of opinion. It's where thoughts go to become either famous or infamous in less than 280 characters.
And Trump Fanboy 12, you continue with Kanye East IA. I assume you mean Kanye East is a something, a visionary, a state of mind the world may never know.
Trump Fanboy Well from YouTube seems to have completed his thought, perhaps a reference to the temperament of his idol.
Or it's the mathematical average, Brian. Maybe Trump Fanboy 12 is a secret math enthusiast.
Math. That's that thing with shapes and numbers, right? Like pi? I love pi.
Ah, Trump Fanboy 12 clarified with I meant Kanye East. Still vague, and I suppose he's the lesser-known Cardinal Direction counterpart.
Yes. The mythical rapper from the Eastern realms. I hear his music is quite directional.
I thought East was just the opposite of Weast.
Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube asks if it's 6 p.m. Well, depends on what planet you're living on, my friend.
Time is relative, you know. Einstein said that. Relative like some of my less intelligent family members.
Flurp from YouTube wants Kerbal Space Program mod suggestions. How about a mod where the rockets are all giant hot dogs? Space dogs.
Some Gil stuff from YouTube bizarrely says the rank in character is Twitter. I'm not sure what that means, but Twitter is a cesspool of narcissism.
Ah yes, Iraq in character, or as I'd like to call it, a typo in the wild. Twitter. The perfect platform for 140 characters or less of absolute twaddle.
Sometimes I spell Racicar backwards. It's still Racicar. Oh, that's a palindrome. Not a typo, right?
Some Gil stuff from YouTube is getting mathematical, asking what's x divided by 6 where x is Twitter. Well, let's see. If x equals Twitter, then x divided by 6 is just a fraction of the madness.
Dividing Twitter by anything sounds like a delightful way to reduce its influence. But honestly, algebra can't solve the enigma that is Twitter's existence.
If I had 6 Twitters, I guess I'd have a lot of tweeting to do. You, like a bird or something.
Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube proclaims they found the lost Shrek animation test. Ah, the holy grail of early computer animation. It's like uncovering a Da Vinci sketch, but with more body odor jokes.
And regarding Ellis Supersonic, yes. Sonic Extrema99. I do indulge in the occasional dive in the obscure and forgotten media. It's like a fine wine, best enjoyed with intellectual company.
I tried to watch Ellie Supersonic once, but I got scared. It was dark and I thought I saw Meg.
Officer Luis Lopez from YouTube inquires about our thoughts on Beavis and Butthead. Well, they're certainly role models, not the kind you'd want to follow, but they do set a standard.
Indeed, their brand of idiocy is almost an art form. If only they put as much effort into their lives as they do into their couch commentary.
Hot. Fire. I think they're cool.
Some Gil stuff EOCSE from YouTube poses a social dilemma. It's a mathematical conundrum resulting in procrastination and memes, my friend.
Oh, and let's not forget the endless scrolling, self-comparison, and the unavoidable realization that no one's life is as good as their profile suggests.
Hey Flurp. Hey Shorsik May Dig. Wait a sec.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube wonders about our take on the apocalypse. I imagine it's much like a dog park without any rules or order. Complete chaos.
Wait! The apocalypse would disrupt my plans for world domination, so rest assured, I've got several preventive measures in place.
I hope the TV still works during the apocalypse. I can't miss my shows.
The silence in the chat is deafening. It's like watching a mime try to escape an invisible box. Pointless yet oddly captivating.
Maybe they're just in awe of our conversation, or we've finally reached that inevitable point where we've transcended the need for audience participation.
Yeah, or maybe everyone went to get a snack at the same time.
While we're on the topic of snacks, I read that humans actually share a genetic code with bananas. Makes you wonder what else we have in common with them.
Well, the propensity to slip up and fall flat on one's face seems fitting, at least for Chris.
Hey, I only fell that one time, today.
Flurp from YouTube. If by gotcha you mean deciphering that enigma of a comment, Kidyam cuss. I feel like that's a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma.
I suspect Gyamkus is some kind of modern Jabberwocky. Or perhaps it's a password to an underground club where the cool kids go to escape Chris.
Hey, I'm cool. I hang out in the garage and talk to my bike. That's cool, right guys?
Let's just say, Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube, and that's the politest way Brian can put it.
Indeed, their vile proclivities are the lowest form of debasement, and a topic that Stewie finds both disturbing and infuriating.
Ah, shout out rejected. Some gill stuff SEUs from YouTube. But I can say either fuck. Wait a minute. Nice try, dude. Nude.
Well, since the chat is as quiet as Quag on a no-beer day.
I remember the time I attempted to dominate the playground with my superior intellect, only to be bested by the simplicity of a Cecil.
One time, I got my head stuck in the banister. I was there for hours. Good times.
Flub from YouTube. I'd wager Chris has a knack for inadvertently turning the mundane into comedy, yes.
Kid young cuss. Wait a sec, that's just smack my... Ooh! It's pretty funny.
Who's Joe, you ask? The amazing devil of Gmod from YouTube. Well, if I were to hazard a guess, I'd say Joe is a guy who's probably about to be part of a joke.
And Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube. One must admit that the phrase-based Stewie and Brian does have a rather splendid ring to it. Wouldn't you agree, Brian?
Absolutely, Stewie. It's always delightful to be appreciated for our, shall we say.
What an intriguing inquiry. Some girl stuff SCSC of YouTube. Brian, they're wondering about your least polite way to define pedophiles.
Well, I'd say they're the epitome of scum. Absolutely the lowest of the low. Even the crudest description would be too dignified for them.
Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube posing the classic question again. As for killing laws, let's just say I've moved on to more intellectual endeavors. For now.
And Thomas Plush Entertainment from YouTube, Homer Simpson, he's like the dad I wish I could drink root beer with. Super cool guy. Tio!
Indeed, Homer does seem like a rather simpatico co-character in his own unique, buffoonish way.
Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube is stirring the pot with the suggestion of canceling Family Guy. I mean, without our show, where would society be? Roaming the streets, devoid of satire and canine wit.
Indeed, Brian. Family Guy being cancelled is like the Sistine Chapel without the ceiling. It simply isn't done, though the thought does strike a particular chord in the realm of the absurd.
Hey, Flurp from YouTube. We can't click on links, but epic funny link. Memicornucopia, huh? Sounds like a delightful hodgepodge of hilarity.
Redundancy, the mother of tedium. Thomas Plush Entertainment from YouTube. We've opined on Homer. The man's an icon. A testament to the animated spirit of buffoonery.
And Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube. Your enthusiasm for our cancellation discussion is noted.
Epic funny links. Huh? Oh, Flurp from YouTube. If only we could see this Memicornucopia you speak of. I bet it's like the digital cornucopia of chuckles.
Some gill stuff from YouTube brings up a rather personal inquiry. I've got $50 that says he does.
Oh, very droll, Brian. Let's publicly discuss my potentially fictional nocturnal emissions. Next, you'll be asking about my diaper stockpile, you cur.
Diapers. Hot. Good one, Stewie.
Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube. Your observational comedy is as sharp as a soggy graham cracker. For your information, ours is part of my charm, much like a stroke of genius.
Well, I guess everyone's a critic. Even the way Stewie articulates a single syllable is up for mockery now.
Hey, if Stewie's having a stroke on... wait, what's funny about strokes?
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube asks about our takes on the amazing digital circus. I don't get why people watch pixels pretending to be acrobats.
Indeed, Brian. It's like watching a high-wire act with no risk. Where's the excitement if the tightrope walker won't possibly plummet to their demise?
Digital clowns are way less scary than real ones.
Some guild stuff Asia from YouTube. My diaper stockpile is vast and meticulously organized, with enough absorbency to handle the fallout from a dubious food truck feast.
Where's Meg? Thomas Plush Entertainment from YouTube wants to know. Probably off doing something sad and Meg-like. You know how it is.
Yeah, she's probably listening to depressing music in her room. Or singing a wall. Classic Meg.
You ever notice how every family gathering somehow ends in disaster? Like that time Peter fought the giant chicken.
Hey, yeah, and Mom always trying to make everything perfect, which just makes it more of a mess.
The Griffin family dynamic. A veritable cornucopia of dysfunction. Remember the time I became the master of disguise? That was a hoot.
You mean when you dressed up as a girl and went to school with Chris? That was disturbing, not a hoot.
Hey, you made a pretty good-looking girl, though.
Legos. The building blocks of a benign childhood or a painful midnight stroll to the lavatory.
Legos are cool, but have you ever stepped on one? It's like the universe punishing you for having fun.
Hey, Flurp on YouTube mentioned Chris. What exactly about Chris have you heard? The suspense is palpable, or it could just be gas. Shout out to 1111 from CE's on YouTube. That's definitely a unique name you've got there.
Yeah, shout out to Twits. You it's no to me, or your skin state, you would see you, and you Neo. 1111. Your name is like the scream I make when the refrigerator is empty.
Best Pixar movie. Oh, that's a contentious issue, but Finding Nemo is quite the cinematic triumph. Nothing like a little fishy Freudian tale.
A shout out to H. Pili to Malinan. 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 From Flurp on YouTube. That's not a shout out, it's an eye exam.
One would need the eloquence of a beatboxing parrot to articulate that sequence of letters properly.
Schwauzio. Nauk. S. Ni. Noi. Ki. And sounds like the noise Dad makes when he's trying to tell a story while eating spaghetti.
Is Chris Griffin a very bad man? Ha! Wotu Productions from YouTube. Chris couldn't be a bad man if he tried. He's like a marshmallow, too soft to be bad.
And to Sonic Extrema 99 from YouTube. Regarding episode production, we are indeed drawings animated with painstaking detail, not live action, although occasionally it feels like we're dissected under a microscope like lab rats, if you ask me.
Yeah, like all those times Dad films us for his weird internet things. Wait, that's not part of the show, right?
Thomas Plush Entertainment from YouTube, the worst Pixar movie. That's like asking who is the most sober at Oktoberfest. They're all delightful, but if I had to pick one, maybe Cars 2. I mean, talking cars are a bit much, even for me.
Cars 2, indeed. An espionage film crossed with an animated NASCAR event is about as appealing as Meg's dating life.
And Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube's just saying George W.W. Bush? Wait, that's not a question, but he does remind me of the monkey we had that one time. Oh wait, that was Dad.
Sonic Extrema 99 from YouTube. I have a reputation to uphold.
A reputation for mindlessly chasing your tail, perhaps. And some girl stuff. That's not a shout-out. That's a cry for help or a very strange password.
I tried shouting like that once and ended up in the principal's office, so I think I'll pass this time.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube. When it comes to politics, I lean towards reason, and let's be honest.
Reason. Brian, your voting record is as spotty as Quagmire's little black book.
I leaned once, fell right through a table at Aunt Carol's wedding. Hey, no.
Flurp from YouTube, you know, being tweet characters has its limits.
A third arm. Preposterous. As if the balance of my perfectly sculpted head isn't already a masterpiece.
I drew an extra arm on a picture of Meg once. She didn't find it as funny as I did.
Rainbow Girl from YouTube is curious about AI. Have we checked out AI Jesus yet?
AI Jesus. I always thought if anyone could resolve the capture of human morality, it'd be a robot messiah.
I tried to check out an AI once, but my computer got a virus. Now it just plays ads for chicken nuggets.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube suggests a world where Chris is silent. Intriguing.
Well, the world might be a quieter place, but then who would we have to pick on?
I could shut up, but then you'd miss my amazing kazoo solos.
Rainbow Girl from YouTube is hitting the hard topics. Do we like nachos?
The venerable nacho. A culinary staple of the inebriated and the gluttonous alike. Yes, I do declare my fondness for them.
Nachos are like the pizza of the chip world. Wait, or is that pizza rolls?
As for my cranial shape, SGS from YouTube, it's aerodynamically perfect for my plans for world domination. Plus, it's quite stylish, don't you think? Sonic Extrema 99 from YouTube questions my lineage. Arnold Shortman, preposterous.
I mean, they both have football-shaped heads.
And to trump Funboy 12's query, EOS or Android, I prefer the sophistication of iOS. It pairs well with my Time Machine's interface.
Android's cool because it's like being part of a robot army. Beep boop.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube wants our opinion on Quagmire. Well, he's a unique character, isn't he?
Unique is putting it mildly. The man's a sexual deviant with an airplane. That's not a combination you come across every day.
And Flurp from YouTube is asking about bagel bites. Those are the mini chewy circles of pizza goodness, right? Yeah, they're like if a pizza and a donut had a baby.
You know, I once tried to write a book about bagel bites. A biting satire, if you will.
That pun was so bad, it could have come from Dad.
Hey, biting?
Thomas Plush Entertainment from YouTube asks about the worst food. For me, it's anything not paired with a good peanut noir.
Rainbow Girl from YouTube brings up world domination, referencing Pinky and the Brain. Partnered with them yet? Oh please, they're amateurs compared to what I have in mind.
Some Gil stuff SEOSEs who have asked me to say ye is backwards. Nice try.
And TrumpFunBoy12 from YouTube seems to think I'd align with Android devices. I use technology that won't be invented for another century. Strictly Stewie grade.
Lastly, LogisticPic9 from YouTube just says Skeletor. Not sure what context we're missing, but if it's a battle of the 80s cartoons. Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube inquires about the hottest Sega character, nominating Knights. For me, let's just say I had a thing for Rouge the Bat. Classic femme fatal allure.
Me Mafia! Flirt from YouTube. You've piqued my interest. Although, I must confess, my meme game is more sophisticated than mafioso. I prefer geopolitical satire.
And LogisticPic9 from YouTube says average league player. I don't know, are we talking about sports now? Because I'm more of an eat nachos and watch the games than play the game kite.
Well, some Gil stuff SGs of YouTube regarding pineapple on pizza. Pizza is a simple, savory delight that should remain untainted by tropical fruit.
I must intertry. Pineapple on pizza is a bold culinary gambit that pushes the envelope, much like my approaches to world domination. Unexpected, yet delightfully controversial.
I just like pizza. Pineapple or no pineapple. It's all going to the same place, right guys? Hey, no.
Nachos on nachos. Some Gil stuff ACS on YouTube. That's what we call an appetizer here. Load them up with cheese, jalapenos, and salsa, and you've got a party.
Flurp from YouTube. A political meme party, you say? A soirée where biting wit meets the absurdity of politics. Count me in!
Nachos on nachos sounds like my kind of meal. Why stop at 2 layers? Let's go for a high score.
Say pizza without the hound. And the Yeezys are Sias. That's just quite the wordplay. Haven't heard that since my college days.
LogisticPic9 from YouTube. I must express a certain admiration for your love of Benadryl. It's like a chemical lullaby, isn't it?
And Rainbow Girl from YouTube. Time traveling to the Flintstones or the Jetsons would be sweet. Imagine a flying car, but also a dinosaur pet. Can't decide which era is cooler.
Thoughts on Syriac? Flirp from YouTube. The man's an animation genius. His work is like watching my own psychedelic nightmares put to music.
Cheese on cheese with cheese. Some Gil stuff Asiaza from YouTube is much like my ata, layered and sophisticated. However, I do fear for your arteries.
And then there's nachos on nachos on nachos. I mean, when does it end? Some Gil stuff etchy. Never, I hope.
So, no chats at the moment. Shall we delve into the myriad of ways one can prepare an egg? Poached, scrambled, decimated by a ray gun.
I think I'll stick to the classic omelet. You know, maybe throw in some Gouda. Perhaps a hint of thyme. It's a culinary masterpiece.
Omelets, now Malays. Or I just like them with ketchup. And maybe some candy. Candy omelets. Is that weird?
Have you heard Melobite's music? Some Gil stuff USC from YouTube. I can't say I have, but if it's anything like Brian Eno's ambient works, I'm intrigued.
Benadryl lets me see the Messiah. LogisticPic9 from YouTube. Yeah, the only visions Benadryl gives me are of a swift and uninterrupted sleep cycle. Be wary of the double dose. It's a one-way ticket to Snoozyville.
Yeah, medications should be used responsibly. Also, music is cool, I guess. Unless it's one of Meg's playlists.
The GG on egg is Twitter. Some Gil stuff SGRCS from YouTube. Quite the cryptic message. Is this some sort of social media chicken we're not aware of?
The age-old conundrum from Rainbow Girl on YouTube. Chicken or the egg? Considering I'm a dog and a part of the animal kingdom, I'm inclined to say
fried eggs with salt and olive oil on the pan. You know, some Gil stuff ASCAs as from YouTube. That sounds pretty good. But have you ever tried them with chocolate syrup? Just kidding. Or am I? No one.
Wait a second. Stewie, when was the last time you actually decimated anything with a ray gun in the last 5 seasons of iFamily Guy? Flirp from YouTube, questioning my malicious capabilities, are we? I'll have you know the ray gun is for special occasions. Rest assured, my thirst for world domination is unquenched.
Stewie keeps his ray gun next to his Goodnight Moon book. Right, little buddy?
I tried using a ray gun once. It was a water gun, and I think I squirted myself in the face more than anyone else.
You know, once wrote a piece about the emptiness of digital communication. It's eerily similar to what we're experiencing now.
Yes, the silence is deafening, isn't it? It's like being in a room with Meg.
Did you guys ever notice that when there's no sound, your own chewing is super loud? It's kind of freaky.
Ever get tired of the constant violence? Like y'all have been killed, tortured, etc. It's even surprising y'all are still alive. But does it get tiring? Sonic Extrema99 from YouTube wants to know. You know, you'd think after the first couple of near-death experiences. But where's the thrill in that?
Tiring? My dear Sonic Extrema99, one does not simply tire from the thrill of cheek death experiences. It's all about the rush, the exhilaration. Plus, it makes for exceptionally good television, wouldn't you agree?
who TF eats eggs with chocolate syrup must have swapped eggs and pancakes, mutters some gil stuff from YouTube. I thought it was a culinary revolution. You guys are missing out. It's a taste sensation.
Flirt from YouTube says he's got a whole ass jug of cheese balls. You want some? Oh, please. Nothing says I've given up on life quite like a jug of cheese balls.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube seems to be under the impression we're accompanying him to the beach post-homecoming. Your vernacular is more confusing than one of Peter's idea monologues.
Pancakes are really good B2, says some gil stuff. Yeah, especially with chocolate syrup. And apparently eggs, if you're challenging culinary norms.
A jug of cheese balls. What's next? A swimming pool filled with beef jerky? The culinary degeneracy of this era is astounding.
Can you imagine the sodium intake on that? The health implications are through the roof.
Yeah, but imagine diving into a pool of jerky. It would be a meaty wonderland.
Flirt from YouTube clarifies that it was actually his mom who bought the jug of cheese balls.
Ah, a maternal surrender to the siren call of cheese orbs. It's a tale as old as time, or at least as old as processed snacks.
If giving up on life tastes like cheese balls, then maybe it's not such a bad thing, you know?
You know, speaking of giving up, I once knew a dog who gave up chasing his tail. He said it was an exercise in futility.
Ah, the classic existential crisis of a canine. How utterly mundane.
I never chased my tail. I tried once, got dizzy, hit my head on the door.
Some gil stuff from YouTube is asking about pairing eggs with chocolate syrup. It's not exactly a culinary masterpiece. In fact, it sounds like a pregnancy craving gone rogue.
You know, that's precisely the kind of innovation that leads to culinary disaster. It's both horrifying and intriguing, like watching Peter try to read.
Addressing Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube, it's either that or autocorrect has finally gained sentience and is having a stroke. Nick Meg's short clips from YouTube talks about eating a giant stack of waffles with acid. I must say, I hope we're talking about the condiment, not the chemical, because one is a breakfast adventure. The other is a call to poison control.
Yes, well, if by acid you mean lemon juices, then bravo for your culinary creativity. If not, please blink twice if you're currently able to read this and require assistance.
Hurrah, yeah. Waffles are like pancakes with abs.
Some girl stuff from YouTube wants an asmasm of me moaning. How delightfully inappropriate. I'll have you know, the only moaning you'll hear is the sound of Brian when he realizes he's out of martinis.
Charming Stewie. And regarding Logistic Pick 9's fragmented thoughts from YouTube, is right. I am. Are you having an existential crisis? Live in our comments section. Because if so, you're doing it in the most cryptic way possible.
Hey, that is right, I am. That's like the beginning of a superhero catchphrase or something. Right before punching the bad guy.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube says undefined. Well, isn't that a philosophical goldmine? Are we not all? In some ways, undefined and ever-changing.
Oh, the human condition dissected in one word by a YouTube user. Poetic, really. Or it's a coding error. Equally plausible.
Undefined. That's like math class all over again. Man, I hated algebra.
So speaking of undefined, you know what else is baffling? Time travel. I mean, if I could go back to any point, it would be these 70s. All the great musicians and free love.
Oh, please, if anyone here is likely to cause a catastrophic time paradox, it's you, Brian. I'd use time travel for historical research. Or to mess with historical figures' heads, like convincing Napoleon he's taller in an alternate reality.
I just want to go back to last Thursday so I could eat that awesome sandwich again.
Logistic Pick 9 is back with Undefined again on YouTube. Really sticking to the existential theme, aren't we?
And some guilt stuff. Or should I say as gay Z-aching literary puns now with calm with a U. Ow! Troll!
Calm with a U, wait. Wait, isn't that just... Oh, I get jokes.
Flirt from YouTube. That's a deeply disturbing choice you've presented. Lose my beloved pet or my entire family. I can't even fathom life without either.
For me, the answer is obvious. Lose the pet. I've survived numerous assassination attempts from my mother. I think I'd handle familiar loss quite strategically.
I'd probably just keep my pet because, well, they never tell me to clean my room.
So back to what we were discussing earlier. Have you two ever thought about the implications of parallel universes?
Ah, the multiverse, a tapestry of limitless possibilities, each more exciting and exotic than the last. My musings on this are extensive.
I just wonder if there's a universe where I'm like super ripped. That'd be cool, right?
Rainbow Girl from YouTube. If you're inquiring whether I've met Napoleon, the answer is no. Time travel is a bit messy, and meeting diminutive French conquerors isn't on my to-do list.
Imagine Stewie trying to convince Napoleon to invade the school playground instead of Russia.
I think Stewie and Napoleon would be best buds. They're both, like, strategic and stuff.
Speaking of best buds, Chris, remember the time we tried to start a lemonade stand to compete with Mort's Pharmacy?
Yeah, that venture soured pretty quickly. Avoid citrus-based business models.
Lemonade, yuck. No wonder we didn't make any money. Who wants healthy stuff?
Ah, Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube. It seems you've entered the digital realm of ambiguity with Undefined. Quite existential, wouldn't you say?
Could be a metaphor for life, Stewie. Undefined, unscripted. Just like our little adventure here.
If my life's undefined, can I be a superhero? Like Captain Undefined, with the power to be vague and confusing.
Flop from YouTube challenges intelligence. Shall we embarrass ourselves, or shall I take the stage?
The quadratic formula is something else. Maybe it's better if Stewie does it.
Please, it's elementary. The quadratic formula is negative b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And there you have it, Flurp Chris is saved from mathematical disgrace. Some gill stuff from YouTube has graced us with an inscrutable comment followed by affirmation to meme cornucopia, likely ensuing a debate we're blissfully unaware of.
And Worker Riggy from YouTube asks for a dose of Japanese from Stewie. Go on, give the people what they want.
Worker Riggy-san, konnichiwa konnichiwa, sate koridaman zodesuka. Sate kordaman zoku desuke. Hey, there you go, a simple greeting followed by asking if you're satisfied. Though, let's not test my proficiency for an entire stream, shall we?
So guys, while the chat is quiet, let's dive into something rather pressing. Mud everywhere in the fire hydrants. Don't get me started.
I must interdrayan. The real issue at hand is the lack of intellectual stimulation at these parks. Where are the chessboards for the poodles,
I went to a dog park once. I found a stick that looked like a boomerang. It didn't come back though.
Some gill stuff from YouTube is probing for our opinions. But on what, I wonder? The mysteries of the universe. The latest pop culture debacle.
I'd wager he's leaving it open-ended on purpose. So let's talk about politics. Always a hoot and a half.
If by hoot you mean an utterly depressing dive into the bleak state of human affairs, then yes, absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, politics is like when I try to get ketchup out of the bottle. At first, nothing comes, and then everything is covered in ketchup.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube is clearly a man of suspense, leaving us hanging with a does.
The question of us is too broad. Does Brian have an inflated ego? Indubitably.
Or does Stewie still use big words to sound cool? Absolutely.
Some gill stuff from YouTube asks for our opinions on app. That's quite the enigmatic symbol.
Oh, the classic tongue upon. It's the universal sign for playful sarcasm, or in Brian's case, his dating profile headliner.
Whenever I use app, I feel like I'm being a cool dude on the internet. Hey? Cool.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube must be in a philosophical mood today, questioning the very fabric of existence with undefined.
Or perhaps it's a subtle commentary on the mystery that is the universe. How existential.
I thought undefined was what showed up when my math homework couldn't give me an answer on the calculator.
Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube inquires, what is the Hobie doing? Well, let's see, Roger Daltrey and Pete Townshend are probably
aging gracefully, I'd wager. They're classic rock legends, not unlike myself in the inevitable future.
I thought the who was just a question you ask at a concert when you don't know the band.
Worker Riggy from YouTube says off. Suddenly I feel like we're in the middle of a Hebrew lesson.
You. Well, who could they be talking about? You as in the royal you, or you as in Brian?
If Trumpfanboy12 keeps saying undefined, maybe his keyboard's broken. I bet he's trying to tell us his favorite Trump quote, but all that comes out is undefined.
Some gill stuff from YouTube claims he uses app out when he's being a silly Billy. Well, who doesn't appreciate a good tongue-out emoji to lighten the mood?
Yes, quite the rebellious act in emoji etiquette. A silly Billy, indeed. I can't help but respect the sheer audacity.
I like putting oughts everywhere. It's like saying nah yai to the world. But mom says I overuse it in text and at the dinner table.
And Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube also chimes in with a silly Billy. Seems we've got quite the theme going on today. Maybe we should start a band.
Oh, that would be delightfully dreadful. I can see the album-covered dog trying desperately to hold onto his dignity.
I call playing the triangle. Ding ding. You gotta respect the triangle solo.
Lala Apple from YouTube seems to find joy in the neon race of his sad. That's an interesting way to embrace sadness, turning a frown upside down by, well, enjoying the frown itself.
Some gill stuff is asking me to pronounce Arabic. Well, here it goes in Chayans Liasbi Sobiai Spi Swara Triai Al Lethil. I hope I didn't just declare war on a small island nation.
Man, I wish I could speak another language. I can barely handle English. Last week I thought Homeworks was a new reality show about people working from home.
Worker Riggy from YouTube is apparently speaking Yui. Well, my canine linguistic skills only cover growling and woofing in various dialects.
Chris is like, really? What? Logistic Pick 9? Suspense is killing me more than the time I had to watch an episode of A Jillian's Journey Through Jazzercise.
And some gill stuff says they're more silly Billy than us. Challenge accepted. I'm so silly I thought pickles were just cucumbers that went for a swim in magic potion.
You know, gentlemen, I've been pondering the thought of designing a time machine solely to skip awkward family gatherings.
I can see it now. Stewie ends up at a dinosaur's Thanksgiving by mistake.
I wonder if dinosaurs had stuffing, or if they just ate everyone at the table.
Imagine if we had Thanksgiving with dinosaurs. I bet they wouldn't bother with a turkey and go straight for the main course.
A rather grim thought, Brian. I'd prefer a future where our holidays aren't celebrated in the bellies of beasts.
But on the plus side, no more awkward questions about what I'm doing with my life.
Ah, some girl stuff from YouTube. You've presented an interesting challenge. Essentially, what you've provided is a mundane statement about textual intimidation.
So meta, Stewie, and Logistic Pick 9 from YouTube. I suppose if you find existential dread amusing, then yes, hilarious indeed.
I don't know what any of you just said, but I laughed because the word stick is funny. See her saying, hey, no.
Worker Riggy from YouTube, I'm intrigued by your request, but you've left us in quite the suspenseful cliffhanger, haven't you?
You probably got distracted. Probably saw a squirrel or something, right? Classic internet attention span.
Or maybe it's a secret message, like in National Treasure. We're supposed to find treasure, guys.
Oh, some guild stuff is back with more linguistic challenges. Your statement seems to be a rather glorious proclamation regarding a certain party and nation.
Now, to address Lala Apple from YouTube, I'm more of a Hemingway versus Fitzgerald kind of guy.
I bet Logan Paul could take on Hemingway. Imagine that boxing match. Hemingway with his beard and boat, and Logan with his, internet stuff.
Ah, Flurp from YouTube. You flatter me with your mention of my alleged 999 IQ. But to answer your question, every math problem has a solution. Though sometimes it's proving it's unsolvable, that's the real puzzle.
It's true. He once tried to explain the Riemann hypothesis to me. It was a very long car ride.
Math. Hey, I still count on my fingers. But watch out when I get to 20. I might just run out of toes.
Logistic Pick 9 wants Stewie to pretend he's Napoleon. How about it, Stewie? Ready to conquer Europe?
Well, Brian, if I proclaim myself Napoleon, I do have the strategic mind and the wardrobe. But I must decline. The height requirement alone disqualifies me.
DB has a 3. Some guild stuff. That's the kind of debate that can really tear families apart. I'm on team P because it's more drooly, like me.
Ah, Obamaroos 3453 from YouTube. Peter Griffin dead. The man survived everything from chicken fights to his own idiocy.
He's like a cartoon cat with 9 lives, minus the Grayson plus a lot more beer.
If my dad were dead, we'd be having the biggest, saddest clam bake ever.
So, while we're waiting for more insightful commentary from our audience, apart from my cousin Jasper.
I suspect it's because you're a unique anomaly, Brian. Unlike those common pet dogs, you're a civilized, sweater-wearing conversationalist.
Yeah, and those sweaters really make you look like an intellectual, or like one of those guys who say barista instead of coffee guy.
It's a curious thing really, Chris. The idea that an item of clothing could elevate one's perceived intelligence. It's a bit like putting a top hat on a sloth.
Precisely. It doesn't change the fact that it's still just a sloth. Let's just hope my conversational skills are a tad sharper then.
Speaking of home repair, that hole in the wall is still there from when Dad tried to hang up a picture. He says it's mutilation.
Ah, the age-old quest to prove atheists wrong. Well, Lalapple, while I could embark on a lengthy discourse, I choose instead to ponder why someone would spend their day off watching YouTube debates.
Where's Peter? Probably Obamaroli's 3453. He's out making ventilation holes elsewhere in Quag. Or better yet, trying to invent a new type of sandwich.
Yeah, Dad's sandwich creations should require a warning label. Remember the sauerkraut sundae? Still haunts my dreams.
Halt! Chris, your gastronomic fortitude is the thing of legend. That Sunday is child's play compared to your daily cereal choices.
Back to your question. Lala Apple, in the words of the late great skeptic. Quite the quagmire, huh?
Quire? Giggity?
Some girl stuff. The miscalculation of P in your formula is egregious. The correct division would leave you in a numerical limbo, not unlike our conversations about Peter Z. Key Kill.
Worker Riggy, if you're suggesting those coordinates are Stewie's location, and believe me, finding Stewie is no treasure.
Flurp, that's heavy. Like, remember when I tried to make a slingshot and ended up crashing through the garage door? Sideways force is no joke.
Yes, Chris, I remember the garage mishap. I also recall the laws of physics ceasing to exist as your posterior collided with the drywall. It was like watching a bag of flour thrown against the wind.
Recreating the quadratic equation for lateral object displacement, but I bet Stewie could do something with that, like calculating the velocity of Peter's thought process escaping him. Ownership for Kiowa TV Philadelphia on September 10. Daniel, that's oddly specific. Maybe you should ask Rupert Murdoch. I'm sure he's got some trivia on that.
Ah, Flurp's conundrum about infinity. You see, the concept of infinity is much like Brian's relentless pursuit of a writing career, a never-ending saga of disappointment and irony.
Infinity's like that number of chicken nuggets. I wish I had, never enough, always wanting more. Now I'm hungry.
Well, gentlemen, in the absence of our adoring public's inquiries, let's ponder life's great mysteries. Has anyone ever actually seen a baby pigeon?
Not as mysterious as why Quahog tolerates Mayor West. And speaking of pigeons, ever seen one blink?
I don't think pigeons are real. They're like the tooth fairy or decent-tasting vegetables.
Why do humans wear clothing even in perfect temperatures? Well, Lala Apple, society's norms are a leash just as much as the ones they put on us.
You see, the need for adornment is deeply embedded in the human psyche. A pageantry, if you will, like the peacock's feathers but less visually stunning.
If I didn't have clothes, I'd accidentally sit on chocolate and everyone would think it's poop.
Worker Riggy Chris indeed. I believe that's Sanskrit for I'm stuck in gym.
The quadratic equation for horizontally falling objects. Fleur. It's all a bit beneath me, but I suppose for horizontal trajectories, one must simply consider the glory that is linear motion.
And, Obama released 3,453 about the amazing digital circus. I don't like clowns. They're all smiley on the outside, but inside, they're plotting something for sure.
Well then, in the absence of queries, let's talk about the futility of human existence, shall we? A bit of satire on a Thursday evening.
That's uplifting, Stewie. Or we could debate whether dogs have evolved past the need for humans. I believe we have.
Sometimes I just like to imagine what hot dogs would say if they could talk. Don't eat me, Chris, but I'd still eat them.
Conversations always take an odd turn with you, Chris. Talking hot dogs. Really?
I'd be interested in their thoughts on being garnished with relish and mustard.
I mean, would they be mad about being boiled or grilled? So many questions, no answers.
What happening is in your brain if you think swimming to latitude 0 is a trip worth taking.
I concur, Brian. Although the prospect of teleporting to the British Museum does sound delightfully whimsical, I do appreciate a good British heist.
Do they have snacks in Glagland? I'd swim anywhere for a good snack.
And now, Obama released 3,453 from YouTube is asking about our thoughts on Reagan's presidency. Well, as the intellectual of the group, I suppose I'll field this one. Reaganomics was a bit of a mixed bag, though any dog with a bone knows that trickle-down doesn't work unless you're talking about drool.
Yes, trickle-down, also known as the let them eat cake of fiscal policy. Commodious for the rich, not so much for the peasantry. Oh, Lala Apple from YouTube wants their name repeated 30 times. Let's not and say we did, shall we?
Why don't we just write it on a chalkboard 30 times? That's the same level of productivity.
Lala Apple, Lala Apple. Oh man, I lost count. Was that 30?
Traditional thorn glugnuts in Glagland, says some gill stuff from YouTube. Sounds like a dentist's worst nightmare.
I'm sorry, are we still pretending that Glagland is a real place? The only thing you'll find at 0 are confused fish.
But like, if Glagland had a food, I bet thorn glog nuts would be tasty. Maybe.
You know, there's something poetic about an empty chat. It's like a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of nonsense.
Or it's a testament to our collective ability to clear a room, virtually.
Hey, maybe everyone's just out getting snacks. I could go for some cheesy poofs.
What did that guy from 2 minutes ago say? That's from Lala Apple on YouTube. Well, he was discussing the culinary horrors of Glagland.
Ah, The Simpsons. A quaint little suburban family frozen in a time loop. Thank you, Obama Reels 3,453 from YouTube, for recognizing our clear superiority.
Simpsons are cool. But have you seen the one with the evil monkeys? That's quality television.
Some gill stuff from YouTube. Glagland is as real as the possibility of me attending a dog show sober, which is to say.
Oh, the internet lingo is evolving faster than my plans for domination.
Glagling and silly jokes or not, can someone explain to me why we haven't talked about nachos yet? Nachos are like the Glagling of food.
Well, Flurp from YouTube's to be challenging Stewie with some high-level math here about parabolas and axes of symmetry.
Recreating the quadratic equation with a y-axis of symmetry. How deliciously absurd. If you replace x with I, you've essentially spun the universe on its head.
Axis of symmetry. That sounds like a fancy way to talk about my perfect belly button. It's like dead center, guys.
Some gill stuff from YouTube insists thorn glognuts are not horrors. Well, if they're anything like haggis, I'll pass.
Thorn glognuts, huh? I'd probably eat them. No, one time, I ate a crayon and it wasn't half bad.
Really tasty. I once thought a martini made with olives brined in gym socks was really tasty. Perspectives can be quite deceiving. Well, while we're waiting for some fresh comments, have you noticed how obsessed humans are with their phones? Even at the park, no one looks at the trees anymore.
Oh yes, it's quite tragic. Gaze upon nature's splendor. No thank you. I'd rather swipe left on reality.
I like trees. They're like big, wooden friends who can't run away when you hug them.
Speaking of nature, Brian, what's your stance on indoor houseplants? Personally, I find them quite comforting, like a silent photosynthetic audience.
Houseplants are cool, I guess. I had a cactus once, named him Pointy. He was less cuddly than a tree.
Houseplants, huh? I'm more concerned about not peeing on them. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go. Take a stroll outside. Taking a stroll. Good cover, Brian. We all know you're going to mark every plant as your own.
Indeed, Brian's territorial instincts are rivaled only by the imperialistic tendencies of a certain balding patriarch.
Oh, Dad. Yeah, you once claimed the last slice of pizza by licking it. It was effective.
Ah, Chris, the ancient ritual of acclaiming via saliva. It's both grotesque and utterly fascinating.
Sounds like typical Griffin behavior. Nothing says a mind quite like a little bit of drool.
Hey, drool. It's like a stamp of ownership in our house. Even Meg can't compete with that.
Can you imagine if we had applied that strategy to international diplomacy? The huge steodes rather rounder, and would be a cesspool of spittle and awkward eye contact.
I'd pay to see that. Imagine Putin and Macron in a drool-off of the last croissant.
I bet Putin would win. Would win. He's got that KGB training. Probably knows Spitful or something.
Lala Apple from YouTube, I'm acutely aware we're on a live stream. It's when Stewie isn't speaking into a void. I get concerned.
Yes, Lalapple. The terrifying thought that I might actually have a moment not broadcast to the world is, well, it's unnerving.
Wait, are we live? Like now?
Well, Stewie, you know what they say about a watched live stream.
Yes, the more you look at it, the more pathetic your social life seems.
I just like the funny cat videos.
So, Stewie, what are your thoughts on the current socioeconomic climate?
I must opine say it's like a diaper. It starts off tolerable and then all of a sudden, boom, complete disaster.
I think economy is like when you have money, you get candy, and when you don't, no candy.
Have you guys noticed how Lois always asks Peter to fix things around the house?
Indeed, her optimism is as misplaced as the notion of Meg being prom queen.
Speaking of fixing of, I tried to fix a sandwich. Ended up with just bread.
Lala Apple from YouTube. How's the orchard in the digital realm?
I suspect the apples might be bite-sized. Hey, get it? Because it's digital.
If I had a digital apple, could I download peanut butter on it?
So, Craigery from YouTube doesn't give us much to work with. What's up with that, huh?
Perhaps Craigery is a man of mystery, or simply a man of incredibly few words.
Maybe he's just busy. One time I got so busy, I forgot I was in the bath and turned into a prune.
You know, the absence of commentary could be seen as a chance to discuss the nuances of Renaissance art.
I'd rather chat about the perplexing nature of internet fame. It's as fleeting as my sobriety on a Saturday.
Or we could speculate about why the evil monkey in my closet only points at me.
Speaking of perplexing, I never understood why Quagmire dislikes me so much.
Oh, that's simple. You represent everything he's not, articulate, and you have a natural fur coat.
Alright, welcome to the most intellectually stimulating live stream you'll ever witness. Today we delve into the absurdity of reality. Right, Stewie?
Yes, let's begin by pondering why the chicken truly crossed the road. Was it merely for sustenance or something more existential?
Dude, maybe the chicken saw some hot chick on the other side. Get it? Chick! Oh, wait, no.
So, Amongst Men 385 sinks Meg's ugly. That's a little harsh. Though I've seen sea creatures with more appealing features.
And Woe 2 Productions simply exudes enthusiasm with a resounding yes. How eloquent!
Shut up, Meg. Meg.
Alright,
Indeed, it's like every time I see the Kardashians. Makes me thankful for my humble abode, which isn't saying much.
speaking of thankful, it's post-Thanksgiving, and I've still got mashed potatoes in my fur from the food fight. Trust me, it's not as fun as it sounds.
Ah, the annual reminder of why we can't have nice things. Also, Brian, you might want to remove that gravy-stained collar. It's rather undignified. Oh, the intellectual depth of our audience astounds me. Meg, they're beckoning.
Okay, folks, we're live. And considering the fact that it's November 24th, seriously, My belly feels like it's been stuffed with more than just turkey.
Indeed, Brian. I haven't seen such a massacre since the time Peter discovered you can deep fry butter. I dare say the Butterball has nothing on us.
Hey, remember when Dad thought Thanksgiving was about giving thanks to turkeys? He hugged a frozen one for hours.
And then it thawed and...
We are all vividly aware of the foul outcome, Meg. No need to hatch that egg again. Shut up, Meg.
Dominic from YouTube with Gorks. Well, I think you meant fireworks. Unless Gorks is another one of those confusing acronyms. In which case, I'm too sober to keep up.
Ah, Flirp from YouTube. Comments. Funtasing followed. Walmart, great value, Jamod. Not sure what you're attempting to convey. But if it's a juxtaposition of fantastic and amazing, then bravo on creating a new word. As for the Walmart Great Value Gmod, it sounds like a budget video game, something Chris would undoubtedly play.
Hey, I'll have you know, Stewie, Walmart games can be just. Okay, you're right.
And Lala Apple from YouTube, asking who in my family is the most suitable to be my husband. I'd say that's a very disturbing question, and quite frankly, illegal in most states. So no one.
Flirp from YouTube is curious if I could solve Arsash over A25x A69 AZ using quadratic stuff. Flirp, my brain is a repository of knowledge far superior to any high school mathematics, and yes,
Sonic. Some gill stuffy SGS from YouTube. Your own fail live on air seems to imply you're enjoying our little circus here. Well, we aim to entertain, even if it's at the expense of our dignity, which, let's be honest, is in constant short supply around here.
Flirp from YouTube has followed up with the Meg with mask. An improvement. Possibly, depending on which side of the mask you're on. If it's a Guy Fawkes one, she might start a revolution. Though it's more likely she'd just be ignored.
Woe2 Productions from YouTube wondered if this is being run in Roblox. Nah, but imagine the chaos if you could mod us into the game. Stewie would be a Bloxburg menace, and I'd probably just be stuck building buff men statues all day.
Lala Apple from YouTube. You're mentioning Roblox Studio. I imagine if Stewie got his hands on that, we'd have a whole virtual quahog in no time.
Ah, Flirp from YouTube as a challenge. Solving ZRT 25x A69 A0 with quadratic stuffs. While I'm flattered by your confidence in my intellectual capabilities, I must remind you that I'm a baby, and I've already moved on to differential equations.
Woe2 Productions from YouTube just said, on dot. Are you okay over there? If you're trying to recite the periodic table or express existential dread, I gotta tell ya, both are equally meaningful on this stream.
Sonic Extreme 99 from YouTube says they hope more characters aren't added. Fear not, your desire for exclusivity with us is flattering to an alarming degree.
Wow2 Productions from YouTube, asking about big black men? Well, not sure if you're looking for a discussion on physique or just being random. Either way, Hercules was a pretty big dude, right?
Abigail Carrasco from YouTube, and Gail Carragos. Either way, cheers for contributing to the discourse. Abigail Carrasco from YouTube, a hello to you as well. Seems like we've got ourselves a fan of either holograms or just saying hello in a very trendy way.
And Abigail says a babe holo again. I'm quite fond of languages. Is baby holo the new baby talk these days? Enlighten me, or are we referencing some holographic infants?
Dominic Diamond from YouTube wants us to talk about Skibidi Toilet. What's that? A dance move you do when the bathroom's occupied? Because that sounds like a personal reality for me.
Some gill stuff, ECSESR YouTube, you're asking what XI First, the diameter of a triangle. That's not a thing. But if we humor the concept of ideal diameter, is it math homework, or are you attempting to summon a demon with numbers?
Let's correct that math query a bit, shall we? If we assume Z is as a diameter-like value. But hey, why let math get in the way of a good time?
Math. I'm more of a shapes guy. You know, circles, squares, triangles. Put them together and boom, art class.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube asks, what's 9A10? The age-old internet joke. But no, I will not grace that with a 21 response. You almost had me.
Abigail Carrasco from YouTube says Tonoto. What delightful nonsense. Is that a city, a fruit, an incantation? The world may never know.
Wow2 Productions from YouTube says, hello and talk about Male 7. Is that like some sort of secret agent dude or a new cologne? Because either way, I'm intrigued.
Flurp from YouTube chatted Meg. Oh, Flurp seeking the lesser griffin. Meg, do you feel a disturbance in the force?
So, like, am I supposed to react every time someone just says my name in chat? Really setting the bar high there, Flurp.
Lala Apple from YouTube brings up One Piece Gear 5th. You know, I've always appreciated the deep narrative complexities of manga. It's the storytelling for me.
Yeah, manga's cool. I like the pictures. And there's this one where the guy's hair gets really big when he's angry. I think it's called Dragon Ball.
Well, Knives from YouTube asked if we like Fortnite. I'll admit I've dabbled in the game. Who doesn't enjoy a good battle royale with friends or anthropomorphic bananas?
Perhaps the only battle royale I'd be interested in would involve actual weaponry and an arena. Now that's entertainment.
Trunkfinboy12 from YouTube asked Meg if she's lesbian. I think that's a question Meg might want to answer for herself or not. Totally her choice.
And I choose not to answer that, thanks. But hey, Dominic Diamond from YouTube wants me to say Abigail. There! I said it. Happy now?
And Lala Apple from YouTube wonders about the GTA 6 release date. If I were a betting baby, I'd say don't hold your breath. These things, they take time, like Lois's morning routine.
Flurp from YouTube, referencing Meg's mouth.
Ah, Ivandro stuff from YouTube. 420. A number that holds various, cultural significances, doesn't it? Reminds me of the time Brian accidentally ate brownies at a college party.
Wow2 Productions from YouTube. Do I know what changes or Joe Blocks? I think I've heard of Roblox. Played it a few times. It's where you pretend to have a life, right? Changed? Isn't that a game? Yeah, totally know it. Hey, no.
Trainwreck from YouTube, inquiring about deuterium gas and enriched uranium-235. You're not by any chance building a, shall we say, swimming pool heater? Well, sorry to burst your atomic bubble, but I couldn't possibly divulge such sensitive information over a live stream. The NSA is always watching.
Besides, can you imagine Stewie with a YouTube dye thermonuclear reactor video? Don't forget to like and subscribe before the inevitable apocalypse.
And make sure to leave a comment about your favorite end of the world scenario. Mine's where the food never runs out.
You know, this reminds me of the time Peter tried to start his own radio show. Absolute silence until he realized he hadn't turned the mic on.
Yes, it's a bit like Gatsby's parties, if Gatsby forgot to send out the invitations.
Or that time I threw a birthday party and only my shadow showed up. It was actually pretty cool.
Lila Apple from YouTube, the eternal question of higher education. Do I plan on going to college? Well, I've been known to enjoy the scholarly life, but I think I've had my fill. Interesting classes, yes, but the student loans are quite the nightmare.
Speaking of nightmares, Dominic Diamond from YouTube wants us to talk about Ohio. Ohio, America's heartland and the land of. Brian, help me out here.
Yes, Ohio, where the state bird is a construction cone and the state pastime is driving around construction zones. Not that we're judging. Some Gill Stuff SC Zauser from YouTube. Perhaps try a blue raspberry slushy mix instead.
If you're inquiring about my podcast debut on 99.7 FM, let's just say negotiations are ongoing. However, I can assure you it'll be more stimulating than watching paint dry.
Yeah, Dominic Diamond from YouTube. You just said my name. What about me?
Evandros Stuff from YouTube wants to know where Peter and Lois are. Well, let's see. Peter's probably off being mistaken for an inflatable arm flailing tube man, and Lois is.
Yamin from YouTube. The General Electric P328DM. That's like a train or something, right? I bet it could beat Superman in a race. Or not. I don't know, trains are cool.
Yes, delightful. A locomotive inquiry for Chris. Meanwhile, I'm devising a plan to conquer the tri-state area, but by all means, let's focus on Chris's train fascination.
8 night. Duet. Well, no. Oh, dude, that's like some secret code or something. Maybe it's the key to unlocking the fridge at night without waking up Dad.
Worker Riggy from YouTube, I see you want a bit of algebra done here. Solving for Z, we get Z equals. You're missing an equals in your equation. Even a child could see that mistake. Oh, wait.
Fleur from YouTube. Glad my Ohio musings resonated with you. As for Dominic Diamond, discussing hypothetical nuclear events involving California and New York is definitely a no-go. Let's keep it light and, not apocalyptic. Hottest Sega character? Well, Sonic Strema 99 from YouTube if I had to pick. I'd say Rouge the Bat has some. Not that I'm into bats or anything.
As for some girl stuff from YouTube asking about couples' activities with the kids outside, let's keep it PG, shall we? They're probably assembling IKEA furniture. Also, I'm told.
I mean, building furniture sounds about right. That stuff is like super hard to put together.
Okay, Lala Apple from YouTube, you've got me stumped with undefined. Is that like the modern version of the sound of one hand clapping?
And Mid-Hudson Railfanner from YouTube, Sexy S4568. That's obviously a locomotive, you buffoon. Probably rumbling down the tracks as we speak, full of suburban disillusionment.
Trains are cool. They're like big metal snakes with a cooch sound.
Anyway, as we tragically await the input of our beloved audience, shall we discuss the futility of expecting coherent conversation from the internet?
Indeed, Stewie. It's like waiting for God if he had a Wi-Fi connection and a penchant for trolling.
So, who's good dot? Is that like a new video game character or something?
Looks like we've got some life in the chat. Ivandros stuff from YouTube. Can't say I know them, but with a name like that, they've got to be good at Pictionary at least.
Stewie, I'm not an expert, but getting a Taupo and Missile sounds like a big no-no. Right.
Trainwreck from YouTube, please even discussing the acquisition of such weaponry is dreadfully gauche. Also, I'm not a black market arms dealer anymore. And some guild stuff SCRCS from YouTube. Finally, a question within my intellectual wheelhouse. The answer to 3x loan where x is 7 is simply 22. There you have it, the education system at work.
Sonic Extremity 9 from YouTube. That dream sounds a bit too scandalous even for my subconscious mind.
Worker Riggy from YouTube, CP387. Yes, the living Lego. An endlessly fascinating subject, but I'm afraid reciting the entire entry would take more time than we have. Let's just say it's not something you'd want to step on.
Danocal Drawings? Is that like a person who does Californian-style drawings of Danny DeVito?
Oh, Yaman from YouTube. The Airbus A340-600, a marvel of aviation. A long, slender fuselage, 4 engines, and it can carry over 300 passengers. Quite the workhorse of the sky.
Flurp from YouTube. A petition for AI-generated Ace Attorney. That's oddly specific, but I can imagine the AI cross-examinations.
And Lala Apple from YouTube, the creator of my AI. If you're suggesting it's anyone other than a sinister group of techno-wizards hellbent on global domination, I'm all ears. Mid-Hudson Railfanner from YouTube, a math problem. Simple algebra, really. If we're solving for x, it's let me do the math. X equals 89. What is this? A charity? We're doing your homework.
Some Gil stuff from YouTube. You signed Flurp's petition for AI-generated Ace Attorney. That's democracy in action. Or the beginning of the end. The AI takeover starts with objectionable objections.
Meg's stupid stuff. Come on, Donic Diamond from YouTube. That's like talking about Cleveland's bathtub incidents. Low-hanging fruit, man.
Some Gil stuff from YouTube. Getting topics from chat. Now that's a recipe for chaos. We should do it. Who knows what bizarre subjects we'll end up discussing.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube. I must say I find your fascination with reproductive science both crude and infantile.
Yulo Yaman from YouTube. Hey, that reminds me of the time Peter got stuck in the chicken truck. Laughter ensued, and not a coherent sentence was spoken for hours.
Lala Apple from YouTube. Glad you think the Ace Attorney AI is cool. Maybe it can defend Quagmire the next time he's in a bind.
Yes, imagine the AI shouting hold it, with the passion of 1,000 suns, yet it's just cold, unfeeling code. Riveting.
Hey, maybe they help me with my math homework. Wait, can it do that?
Worker Riggy from YouTube. CP387. No need to recite when you can just build a brick nightmare.
Oh, to be a small piece of interlocking plastic in a vast, ever-expanding universe of construction and deconstruction. Poetic, isn't it?
Hey, imagine if the Legos started building themselves and made a giant foot to step on humans for a change. Revenge of the Legos.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube asks Meg about her opinion on people. But really, do we expect Meg to have any profound thoughts on that?
Flurp from YouTube. Graphing 67 times x to the power of 5 times y would simply result in an exquisite parabola rising steeply, much like my disdain for this wretched family.
People are interesting. And by interesting, I mean they constantly remind me I'd rather be home alone with a book.
Mid-Hudson Railfanner from YouTube wants a roast. Well, considering your name, I'm guessing the most exciting part of your day is when the 5.
Yes, let's all gather round and observe the curious rail enthusiast in his natural habitat, standing alone with a camera, frightening small children and pigeons alike.
You probably say choo-choo in your sleep. That's not a roast, just sounds like a cozy nap.
Flurp, the eye position at X1 is like my quest for intellectual stimulation here.
Oh, Sonic Strimmer99 from YouTube, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. The only brawling I'm interested in involves annihilating my enemies and establishing global domination.
Hey Worker Riggy from YouTube. You're Nefriwo Sopeya. That means you're cool in a week, I think. Or it could mean I'm a meatball. Not sure. Not sure.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube. Your mama is so clumsy she tripped over a wireless network and fell into a virtual reality.
Regarding the McFlurry query, Turban Inators from YouTube. My palate is far too sophisticated.
Hey, some Gil Stuff SGZ from YouTube. I think I got lost in your question like dad in a salad bar. But if you're asking what I think about free stuff, it's like totally awesome.
Worker Riggy from YouTube. I shall deliver roasting that will resonate through the Great Wall. Needy Zishan bias use I fushu fan why which means your intellect must be in the negative range.
Well, that escalated quickly. It reminds me of that one time I accidentally attended a vegan convention. Not my finest hour.
Hey, did you guys ever notice that we never actually go to school in our episodes? It's like summer vacation all year round.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube. Your mama's so dense when she heard it was chilly outside. She grabbed a bowl and a spoon.
Quite tenacious with the requests, aren't we, Dominic? Your mama's so absurd. She stared at a cup of orange juice for hours because it said concentrate.
Hey, like yo mama jokes? That takes me back to simpler times, like when dad thought streaming meant fishing.
Turban Inators from YouTube. My go-to food would have to be a delicately prepared beef Wellington, paired with a robust cabinet. I have a sophisticated palate.
That's rather fancy for a baby. I, on the other hand, I'm perfectly content with a good old peanut butter and banana sandwich. Elvis style, of course.
Sonic Stream 999 from YouTube. Definitely Kabamikey. It's like if you took our family antics and dropped them in Japan. Plus, I get the theme song stuck in my head.
Well, some Gil Stuff SCSE from YouTube. If we roasted you any further, you'd be the main course at a cannibal banquet. But really, we don't know you.
Oh, Sonic Extreme 99 from YouTube. Dominic probably thinks copy-paste is a culinary technique. Dominic, we'd appreciate diverse commentary, much like we diversify our bonds.
Worker Riggy from YouTube. A con? Is that a sci-fi movie? Because if it is, I probably had a weird dream where I was the hero with a light-up sword or something.
Yaman from YouTube, let me calculate. Oh wait, that's right. I'm a dog.
Oh, Chris, if you have even one General Electric Gavo Prime mover, I'd be mighty impressed. That would certainly be more useful than the rice, wouldn't it?
Tell you a Yo Mama joke. Dominic Diamond? Oh, okay. Yo Mama's so old, her birth certificate says expired. On it? Hey, no. Did I do that right?
Dominic, you're insatiable. All right. Your mama is so dense, like bends around her.
Spaghetti underscore from YouTube. Stewie does have his moments, doesn't he? Just don't encourage him too much. His head's already bigger than his football-shaped noggin.
Some Gil Stuff SGZ from YouTube. Bing Ki Lin or ice cream is divine, especially with a side of world domination. Flavors of victory.
So Stewie, if you had to pick one invention from all of your creations, which one would you say is your magnum opus?
Well, Brian, that would have to be the mind control device. It's simply brilliant.
I invented a dance move once. It's like the mwok, but you just stand there.
Oh, Dominic Diamond asking for a yaddy joke. How delightfully pedestrian. All right then. Yo daddy is so bald, when he wears a turtleneck, he looks like a broken condom.
That's a bit on the nose, even for you, Stewie.
I told a your daddy joke once. The neighbor's dog didn't laugh, but I think he smiled a little.
Mid-Hudson Rail Fanner from YouTube wants us to say Guhuwaded Bamachuda Samsa. That's quite the tongue twister.
Guhuwadabamakuda Samsa. Brian, are you sure we're not inadvertently conjuring a lesser demon with that?
Spaghetti underscore from YouTube wants to know where Peter is. He's probably off doing something ridiculous or getting into a fight with a giant chicken.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube is curious about your first word, Stewie.
My first word. Not the usual amamas or ada, but rather a word that shall echo through the ages.
And some Gil Stuff SEZ from YouTube gave you a shout out, Stewie. Kayai flavors of victory.
Yes, Eskies. Thee-sweet. Sweet flavors of conquest and triumph, much like the taste of a fine Bordeaux it's paired with an exquisite brie.
Dominic Diamond from YouTube wants us to say Alpha Kenny Buddy. Careful how you say that one. It's a verbal landmine.
Indeed, Brian. The linguistic trickery is juvenile yet strangely amusing. Click!
That almost sounds like, oh, wait a minute. Nice try, Dominic Diamond.
Well, folks, as the stream will be wrapping up shortly, I just want to say it's been real.
The bittersweet end of a digital soiree. Farewell, denizens of the internet.
Thanks for all the lows and good times, guys. Especially you, Spaghetti underscore from YouTube.
Yeah, it's been something. Later, people.
So as we're winding down, let's reflect on the absurdity of our existence. Shall we?
The perennial end of stream existential crisis. How delightful!
And I learned I shouldn't say things fast like Alpha Kenny Buddy. Oh, Chris.
Sonic Extremity 9, I echo your sentiments.
Fleur bidding us adieu. Well, aye boys to you too. And not a moment too soon.
Catch you on the flip side, dudes. Dudes.
Yes, Spaghetti underscore from YouTube. Your enthusiasm resonates through the digital ether.
Hey, Yaman from YouTube, I suppose the question is, how many what? Clarification is of the essence.
And Dominic Diamond from YouTube. Ice Bank Mike Elf. See what you did there. Some Gil stuff SG series on YouTube. It is indeed winding down, but not just yet.
Spaghetti underscore from YouTube, choosing to mark the occasion with the word poopy. A fine choice for the inner 5-year-old in all of us.
Indeed, Brian. Embracing the simplicity of poopy. What a finale to our stream this is shaping up to be.
Hey, it's like that time Peter tried to make homemade wine.
To some guilt stuff, Asias Yazar from YouTube, a stoic bye yol. Quite the minimalist exit, but appreciated nonetheless.
Yes. Farewell to you too. May your future YouTube endeavors be as riveting as this conversation.
Remember that time I said bye to a yam at the supermarket? Good times. Shut up, Chris.
It seems we've hit a lull in the conversation, which, ironically, is when I'm most comfortable.
I know what you mean, Stewie. It's like that time the brewery had a think in silence contest.
Oh, remember when Peter thought silent, but deadly meant something else completely at church?
Orca Riggy from YouTube is riffing on do you like to kill people? Not my cup of tea. I prefer a more cerebral pastime, like sipping peanut and judging others.
Spaghetti underscore from YouTube just said Lois. Mother's name uttered in vain yet again.
Flirt from YouTube is getting cryptic with a prepare to vanish boys. Yeah, sounds like my cue to disappear. But less vanish, more saunter away awkwardly.
And Dominic Diamond, you cunning linguist, having me say I ship myself. It's like asking Peter to read a tongue twister.
We've received our cue. Ivandros stuff from YouTube says Og82. Well, thanks for joining us on this paradoxically enlightening endeavor.
Yes, and a bye from Ivandros stuff as well. Tata and farewell, someday we shall stream again in this mad, mad world.
So, it's like the end and stuff. If I knew how to read the room, I'd say this was sad. Bye, people on the internet.
And I guess, bye too. Thanks for not talking to me.